What do Jimi Hendrix, Jimmy Page, and Pete Townshend have in common? Well, they're all great icons of their time, but they also all played this specific amplifier, the Sound City 100. And if you want the tones from the Axis Bold as Love album, or Live at Leeds, or some early Led Zeppelin stuff, this is the thing to get. Hey everyone, this is Karlis from Amalgam Audio, and today I have some really special stuff for you. I've been looking for this amp for roughly 20 years. It's quite incredible to actually sit in front of it, and it was quite a journey to get to it. It's a 1967 Sound City 100 built by Dave Reeves at his home. And what is really interesting about this is that all the three big icons who are known to have played this amp, that's Jimmy Page, Jimi Hendrix, and Pete Townshend. All of them played different guitars with different pickups, single coils, P90s, and humbuckers. And you can really dial in this amp to sound great with anything, but it will always retain this character of a clarity and definition. So this is something that you cannot kind of drive out of it. That's its core essence, basically. If any of you are aware of the Hiwatt history, this is like the precursor to the stuff that was made by Dave Reeves personally before he went over to the Hiwatt brand. And he began building amps as early as mid-60s, and the Sound City brand is under which Arbiter distributed their amplifiers. So this is for what the order was made by Dave Reeves. The early Sound City amps and the typical Hiwatt designs have a very unique phase inverter design. That is, if you ask any competent amp tech what is the reason behind the magic of Hiwatts and early Sound Cities, they will answer you that's the phase inverter. And what is so unique about this phase inverter is that it is fixed bias, so it has an additional triode tube that adjusts the bias of the phase inverter, which is a very unusual design. And this leads to a very clean phase inverter, and that is also the reason why those amps are so fantastic with pedals. It's like one of the best pedal platforms you could ever wish for. This amp also has a very unique drive character. I've been after those Axis Bold as Love tones for ages. And I was always wondering, what's that sound, especially on You Got Me Floating? That's like you have this very smooth kind of overdrive that is very detailed at the same time. You hear it's not really a pedal, but it's like a very unique sounding thing. And well, it turns out this is the amp that gets those tones. It doesn't need any pedal or anything else. That's what it does. So as you can hear, this amp has a very specific tone. It is extremely punchy. It cleans up with the rollback of your volume control extremely well, so it can go from proper crunch to really clean, crystalline clean, just with the rolling back of your volume control. And it has a bite, like a very aggressive but still musical bite to the attack, like literally nothing else. It is extremely defined on the first attack of the note. And those early Sound City designs are a bit simpler than the later Hiwatt stuff. EQ section consists of just the treble and bass control. There is no mid control. And the tone in general is also a bit more raw with those early units. Hiwatt's sound somewhat smoother, and you can adjust the mids more precisely. And there's also a presence control on the Hiwatts. So with this amp you have like the bare bones, minimum basic stuff that you could adjust. And the basic character is a very raw, extremely punchy, a bit scooped sound that crunches up in an amazing way. To me, this is the definition of what people call the Kerrang, like the big open raunchy chords that you get with some amps, and this is like incarnation of that. This does this extremely well, and where you can hear this in an ideal form is live at Leeds. Pete Townshend, The Who, that's the sound to get for this kind of stuff. It works extremely well with P90 pickups, which is what Pete used. But what is especially dear to me with this amp is that with the Strat you will get the Hendrix Axis Bolt Love tones. Most of the album, the cleaner parts of the songs are done with this amp, and you immediately hear that when you get the chance to play it. So about the control layout on the amp. So it has 4 individual inputs. Each has an individual volume control. And all of those inputs have a common tone stack with treble and bass. There's no presence control, no mids control. It has a massive volume, which is unusual for the time when this amp was built, and like for a very mild reduction of volume, it actually works really well. It doesn't make it sound brittle or harsh in any way. And I would consider this kind of master volume to be something more of a tone shaping tool, because you can, by dialing back the master volume a bit, you get like a bit less overtones, you get a smoother tone, so you can play around with more gain and less master to achieve something of a smoother response basically. This amp runs on 4 EL34 tubes. It amounts to about 100 watts. Hiwatt or Sound City watts are something a bit different than Marshall watts, not in regard of power, but those amps are so bright that it is like one of the really few things that still gives me a scare when I crank it up. It's really crazy bright. I was looking for this amp for almost 20 years. It's extremely rare, as it turns out, and when they pop up they usually are in a really bad shape, and this one is actually in a decent shape. It has a lot of rust, and it doesn't look beautiful inside, but it works perfectly well and performs as it should and sounds exceptionally good. But this was like a really nerve-wracking experience to get it, because I bought it from a guy who had some health issues, and I sent the money over, and it took like ages to get responses from him, and at some point I thought, this is all money lost. But then, just in time for Christmas, I got the note from the customs that I have a package from the UK, and the amp had arrived. But that wasn't the end of it. The amp arrived in a way that the chassis inside of the head shell had been attached with only 2 screws, and those screws went through the holes. They had no washers on them. So the whole thing, the chassis, was dangling around the head shell the whole way. It is a crazy surprise that the tubes weren't smashed, and actually nothing bad had happened to it. So all it needed maintenance-wise was just replacement of a few electrolytic caps, which is the usual thing that you do. And other than that, this was good to go, which is quite amazing that it still survived this terrible journey. And I'm really happy to have it here and being able to share the tones with you guys. I was fortunate enough to get Julijan Erič to do some demos of the Axis Bolt Love songs, and here he is playing Little Wing. Please subscribe to the channel if you enjoy the content, and see you around. Bye.